So let's jump right in, I suppose. So, I'll just read myself the first two verses, and the third one is the one with the purport, and we could do call and response for that one. Om Adgyanitimranandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvashesha Shunnavadi Pashtata Desha Tarine. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamutirayat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Evam Masam Vritam Cheru Kumaryaha Krishna Chaitasaha Pajakalim Samanarchur Bhuyananda Sutapati. Thus, for an entire month, the girls carried out their vow and properly worshipped the goddess Bhadrakali, fully absorbing their minds in Krishna and meditating upon the following thought: May the son of King Nanda become my husband. Nanda Sutta, son of King Nanda. Ushasyutaya Gotraishwar Anyonya Badha Bahavaha Goryantya Kalindyam Snatam Anvaham. Each day they rose at dawn, calling out to one another by name. They all held hands and loudly sang the glories of Krishna while going to the Kalindi to take their bath. These are, of course, the gopis. Nadyaha kadachiragatya. Okay, you guys can respond if you like. Tire nikshipya purvavat. Vasangshi Krishnam gayantyo. Vijahu salile muda. Nadyaha, of the river. Kadachit, once. Agatya, coming. Tire, to the shore. Nikshipya, throwing down. Purvavat, as previously. Vasangshi, their clothing. Krishnam, about Krishna. Gayantyaha, singing. Vijahuhu, they played. Salile, in the water. Mudha, with pleasure. One day they came to the river bank and, putting aside their clothing as they had done before, happily played in the water while singing the glories of Krishna. Purport. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, this incident occurred on the day the young gopis completed their vow, which was a full moon day. To celebrate the successful completion of their vow, the girls invited young Radharani, the daughter of Rishabhanu, and the special object of their affection, along with other important gopis, and brought them all to the river to bathe. Their playing in the water was meant to serve as the Avabrita Snan, the ceremonial bath taken immediately upon the completion of a Vedic sacrifice. Srila Prabhupada comments as follows: It is an old system among Indian girls and women that when they take a bath in the river, they place their garments on the bank and dip into the water completely naked. The portion of the river where the girls and women bathed was strictly prohibited to any male, and this is still the system. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, knowing the minds of the unmarried young gopis, awarded them their desired objective. They had prayed for Krishna to become their husband, and Krishna wanted to fulfill their desires. Guy. So, so many really nice points in this purport. Let me just open up the gallery view here. One of my favorite ones is perhaps the essence of the verse, and perhaps the essence of our entire philosophy. Actually, it's the last point mentioned about how, and the moral of the story, kind of, where the gopis are all praying for Krishna to become their husband. They knew no one but Krishna as their Lord, as we say, and that's the last verse of the Shikshashtakam. Ashli Shiva Paradatam Panashtu Mama Darshana Marmahatam Karotuva Yata Tata Vavadata Tulampato Mat Prananatas Kusa Eva Napadaha. Which means that I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. And I often would think, when I was first learning these verses, about what it actually means to know no one but Krishna as one's Lord. And obviously with Sanskrit in general, but especially with the Krishna consciousness philosophy and the verses that we receive from Lord Chaitanya and our acharyas, and through the Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, there's so many different layers to them. Like there's sometimes people will say that, oh, Bhagavad Gita is very, very basic, and eventually we're supposed to graduate to higher levels of understanding, or more esoteric books and stuff like that. But I was just reading in the Chaitanya Charitamrita yesterday that the story of the illiterate Brahmana who was reading Bhagavad Gita improperly. He actually couldn't read. It's described he was illiterate, but because he was reading the Bhagavad Gita in accordance with the order of his spiritual master, then he was experiencing this highest ecstasy of Krishna prema. And so there's this kind of disease-like mentality that we see sometimes spreading throughout the different sects, but within the Krishna conscious movement as well, that what we've received is just the basics, and we ultimately need to go beyond those basics. But in reality, what we actually see is that those devotees who master the basics are the ones who actually get the desired result. Not that we need to go and sit at the bank of Radhakund and go to Ras Bihari Lal Sun's bookstore and procure all these obscure titles and just chant as 100 rounds a day. But we need to sincerely carry out the order of our spiritual master, whatever it might be for any one of us. And by so doing, then we actually get the desired result. And of course, nowhere is that adage more prominent than in Srila Prabhupada himself, who was the ultimate Raganuga Bhakta, in that he fully surrendered to the order of his spiritual master, and as a result retained all success. He was the most successful devotee of all time in terms of spreading Krishna consciousness in the world. And as we see many times in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's mentioned that that's the indication that someone's receiving Lord Chaitanya's mercy, which is non-different from Srimati Radharani's mercy, that they're effective in spreading this message all over the world. So what could be more rasik, what could be more intimate and advanced than Srila Prabhupada in what he did, sleeping on a cot in the YMCA and staying with acid people, going crazy, and being violent with him. To endure these hardships is the actual, for the sake of carrying out the order of the spiritual master. That's the actual sauce. That's the actual juice that empowers us to taste these more intimate, more confidential mellows of Krishna consciousness. Not that we need to try and find some shortcut and try and present ourselves as some special devotee. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, "Don't try to be some great hero. Just try to be a speck on the hand of your spiritual master in carrying out his work and his mission." Because ultimately we're looking for mercy. We're looking for mercy, and the way we get mercy is through pleasing the spiritual master. Yasya prasadad bhagavat prasadad yasya prasad nagati katopi. By carrying out the order of the spiritual master, working for him, then we get this most coveted substance of Vasudev Kata Ruchi, this Ruchi for hearing the message of Vasudev. Right? Shru Shru Shro Shradhanasya Vasudev Kata Ruchi, Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevana. That by serving those great devotees of the Lord, one develops this ruchi, this taste for hearing about Krishna. And once we have this taste for hearing about Krishna, then automatically we can start giving up the material world and all attachments we previously held towards it. Otherwise, it's not possible, right? Otherwise, it's too dry. We need some taste. We need some rasa. As I said often here, and it's a quote from my spiritual master, jivas just want to have fun. So, we're female energy. So they say girls just want to have fun, and it holds true for us as well. But we need to have fun. That's essential. We can't just be these austere yogis sitting in a cave and expect to be able to give up the material world, especially in this day and age where sensuality and sense enjoyment in general is so paramount. So we need to get some kind of taste, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's not that we need to just be these slaves necessarily, but that we're meant to enter into this intimate, loving relationship, and that love, that bhakti, is what ultimately sustains us in our existence. As Nat King Cole once said, the greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. And so that's a fact. And so how to learn how to be loved, it comes back to this very simple point that can sometimes be a difficult pill to swallow, right? That actually we just need to become the sincere servant of our spiritual master. Right? If we find a bona fide spiritual master, someone who is genuinely carrying out the order of Srila Prabhupada and is speaking according to the scriptures and not saying anything that is out of line with the Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, but is a sincere devotee himself, and we take shelter of him and we receive instruction from him, then our path to pure loving devotional service is wide open. It says in the Srimad Bhagavatam, purport 2.9.34, the order of the spiritual master is not an ordinary thing. It is a manifestation of the Lord's internal potency, right? Internal potency means Ladini Shakti. It means it's a connection to Srimati Radharani. It's not an ordinary thing. The order of the spiritual master is a manifestation of the Lord's internal potency by which we may come to see the Lord face to face. Right? Here it is. This is the goal, loving devotional service to Krishna. That means intimate connection with Krishna. How do we get it? By serving the order of the spiritual master. Right? And so oftentimes we rack our brains, how can I psychologically give up my anarthas? How can I stop myself from thinking about this or thinking about that? Or what kind of, mechanical process can I employ? That way I can, not become so, angry or lazy or lusty or whatever it is. But actually, it's very simple what we have to do, and it's a panacea. It's kind of a one size fits all. That by carrying out the order of our spiritual master, and by chanting 16 rounds as sincerely, as attentively as possible, and following the four regulative principles, then we get this taste. We get this taste for hearing about Krishna that allows us to give up all other lower tastes. Just like Prabhupada gives the example, if somebody offers you $100 bill, then you easily give up a penny. They say, give me a penny and I'll give you $100 bill. there's no question of attachment. You just automatically accept the thing of exceedingly more value. So that's why, though, this is why the idea of the spiritual master, having a spiritual master, is so emphasized, within our line, especially because he becomes the key to our ultimate liberation, right? Another aspect, though, you could look at is we are also duty bound to employ a certain attitude in our Krishna consciousness, and obviously, as we're going through the stages of Anartha Nivritti, carrying out the order of our spiritual master, it's not necessarily a snap of the fingers and we're automatically pure, but we are often obligated to remind ourselves of the way in which to think so that we can ultimately attain liberation. So that's where we hear verses like Tate nukam pam susamikshama buddhyana evatmakritam vipakam Ridvagvapur bir vididan namaste jiveti yomukti pade sadaya bhak. That in the course of our service to our spiritual master, to Krishna, then so many obstacles may be there. But a devotee who accepts all these obstacles as Krishna's mercy and goes on carrying out the order of their spiritual master while offering obeisances to the Lord with body, words, and heart, becomes automatically eligible for liberation. So there's different ways to look at this particular verse. One is, of course, that humility, that humble attitude is essential. Obviously, that's one of the other kind of pillars of our philosophy, this Trinadapi Sunichena. But another way to look at it is from the angle that by accepting everything that happens to us as Krishna's mercy, then everything becomes a kind of catapult for our advancement. In the sense that, for example, say there's somebody at work that we just don't like, right? And that's okay. We're all individual living entities, so there might be some people, that we come across that we just don't jive with. And, not that it's okay to disrespect them in any way, but, different strokes for different folks. And there will always be some people that maybe we don't exactly mesh with for whatever reason. So say we are interacting with somebody like that, and they say something that really, let's say, hits our ego, or otherwise disturbs us in some way. And so we have two choices. One is we could get really upset, right, and start thinking, "Oh, this person is such a what this or that," and how could they talk to me like this, or something like that. Or we could say, "Tatenu kam pamsu samikshumano," that this is actually Krishna's mercy to me. Krishna is giving me an opportunity to get closer to him by using this interaction to help me enforce the principles, the attitude that I want to ultimately imbibe, that attitude of humility. And yeah, it's a nice practice. It's a nice scientific experiment that we could all run, that next time we're in that kind of situation, if instead of reacting like we normally might, like I normally do, in this kind of like upset mood, we can instead say, thank you, Krishna. We can offer obeisances, even physically. You can try that out, offering obeisances to Krishna physically when these things happen, and thanking him for this opportunity to take shelter of him deeper and deeper. And it might feel a little artificial at first, but that's okay. Just by doing it, then eventually it does actually become sincere. And that was said by Prabhupada to Gargamuni Prabhu back at 26 Second Avenue, where Gargamuni said to Prabhupada that when you come in, everybody bows down to you, but I don't, because I feel like it would be insincere of me because I don't feel it yet. And Prabhupada said, just start doing it, and then by the act itself, then the feeling will come. So that is a nice experiment we could try. But ultimately, these experiments, are good, but they're not what's going to change our heart completely. For that, we require mercy. That mercy comes through Lord Chaitanya. It comes from our spiritual master by carrying out his orders, and especially by engaging in the Yuga Dharma. There's so many wonderful services within the Hare Krishna movement, and they're all equally important. But there's a special place for Harinam Sankirtan and book distributions, the spreading of the holy names, because this was Lord Chaitanya's special instruction for all of his followers, and this was also Srila Prabhupada's special instruction for all of us. There's that famous talk he gave in, I believe it was Los Angeles, which was pretty much the capital of the Hare Krishna movement at the time. And he called together all the GBCs, all the sannyasis, all the temple presidents, all the senior men in the movement, got them all into the temple room, and he sat down and he said the famous words, "This is my request. Print as many books in as many languages as possible and distribute throughout the world." Right? And so he understood that he had a lot of serious followers. He had a lot of followers who understood the kind of crux of the Hare Krishna movement, which is carrying out the order of the spiritual master. This Gaudiya Vaishnav lineage is all about this principle of carrying out the order of the spiritual master. And so he made it a point to sit everybody down in this famous lecture that's beautifully recorded and tell them, this is my request. Print as many books in as many languages as possible and distribute throughout the world. And so not everybody needs to necessarily be on the streets in order to carry this order out or to help support it. There's so many different ways that we can get involved. There is obviously distributing yourself, and there's plenty of opportunities to do that. One nice way to do it that's not too scary is just carrying a book on us. If we just make it a point to have a small book, like Easy Journey to Other Planets or Perfection of Yoga, or something like that on us at all times, then Krishna will actually send people to us, and we'll be amazed at at what happens, the kinds of people that we end up interacting with. One such interaction I had like that, that was absolutely amazing and like so faith-giving, was actually a time when I forgot to take a book with me. And so I'll try to make the story as short as possible, but it is kind of long. But anyway, so what happened was I was on my way to Texas for this Gaur Purnima festival that my wife was singing in. And she was already there, so it was just me. I was rushing to get to the airport, and my mom was going to pick me up and take me there. And it was just one of those airport trips, where you're just late, and you're late, and you're like very concerned that this is going to be the time that you miss the flight, And so I was in that kind of mentality, and was quite disturbed, trying to arrange last minute things, pack the stuff I knew I needed, and it was poor planning on my part. But in any case, I finally get all my stuff. I get out the door, get into the elevator of my apartment building, and as soon as the elevator doors close and the elevator starts going down, immediately it pops into my head that I forgot to take a book with me. And I'm like, oh man, I know I could have, obviously gone back in and gotten one, but in my mind at the time, given like the situation, I just felt like I can't. And I know that Krishna is going to fry me because I forgot a book. I felt that in my heart, that like Krishna is going to, he's going to make me pay for not having a book on me. So get to the airport, huge plane. It's from, I believe the flight was from JFK to Dallas or something like that. So it's big plane, tons of people, packed flight. And so I board, I sit down in my seat, and this guy sits down next to me. He's like this older white gentleman, beard, glasses, looks like a kind of intellectual type. And so we get to talking, as the flight's kind of taking off. And we wound up getting into this really good conversation all about society and, different kinds of spiritual principles, and, how the world needs to, move away from materialism and more towards duty and doing the right thing, and even spirituality. So we're really talking, and like the whole flight's going by. And eventually we get to talking. He's like, well, what are you going to Texas for? And I tell him, well, I'm going for this kind of like spiritual music festival. And we're going to be doing like some mantra music. And he's like, oh, I actually listened to some mantra music myself. And I'm like, oh, really? Like, what kind of stuff? And he's like, where, there's like a group of people, and then there's like one guy, and he's on this instrument, like this piano instrument. And I'm like kirtan? He's like, yeah, kirtan. I listen to a bunch of kirtan. And I'm like, oh my God. And so this is when it starts. And I'm like, oh, here we go, Krishna. Like, this is it. Like, you're now I'm getting the spanking that I deserved for not going back and getting the book. So he's telling me, like, yeah, I love kirtan, and there's this one kirtan person in particular. Her name's Ja, Johnny. I'm like, Johnny Harrison. He's like, yeah, Johnny Harrison. I love Johnny Harrison. And at this point, I'm like, what? Like, I'm just like freaking out because this plane is huge. Again, I'm like, and it's going to Texas. It's not like we were going to like, San Francisco or LA where like there would be a lot of people you'd expect to know about like yoga and kirtan. And this guy is just some like intellectual, he's like a professor who was like just happened to be into kirtan and like Krishna consciousness. And so now I'm like really freaking out. And now we start talking about like Krishna consciousness directly. And he's saying how like, yeah, he had, kind of become acquainted with it back in the day, and um, didn't really get too into it because he felt like, it was a little bit too much for him, but he always like really appreciated it and saw the value in it. And so now he's like asking me about the philosophy. And so now all of a sudden I'm like talking to this guy who's like knows about Krishna, loves kirtan, loves John V. Harrison. And I'm just like looking around like, this is crazy. And then he tells me that some 20 years ago, or whatever it was, he had went to Kalachandji's restaurant there, which I believe is Dallas, and that he saw on the wall this painting where Krishna was like feeding a cow. And he said that he was so blown away by the idea that you could have an intimate personal relationship with God that just never left him, that he just always remembered this this kind of idea that was presented in that restaurant of bhakti, basically. So he obviously was, continuing on from a previous life to have that kind of deep impression made on him just by a picture of Krishna like that. And so I'm just like, oh, I should have got that book. But it's funny because, obviously I'm thinking that, and then he says to me, give me a list of all the books that I should get that you recommend. And I'm like, okay, here you go. And I made him a list on his thing. And so, but it was just such a personal connection that I felt with Krishna in that moment. That like, yes, like I felt like Krishna was right there, that he was there in the elevator when I decided not to get the book. And he was there on the plane when he made this guy sit down next to me. Of all the other people, probably no one else in the airport knew about Krishna consciousness to the extent that he did, where like he had some real experiences with it. And the guy just happened to be sitting next to me on the plane, and we just happened to start talking. Like I'm not a huge extrovert, so I normally don't strike up conversations with people on the plane. But yeah, obviously it just so happened, so to speak. And so I just felt such a close relationship connection with Krishna. I remember just like looking out of the window on the plane after the conversation kind of finally stopped, and just like listening to kirtan and thinking like, wow, like Krishna's God, Krishna's real, and like he's with me and he's watching me and he's arranging my life in such a way. And it's all because of because of my connection with book distribution ultimately. And never have I ever felt more close to Krishna than in these moments of distributing, or in this case of not distributing a book, but uh, yeah. And so this magic connection with Krishna is exactly what I was talking about in the beginning of the class. This idea of developing this intimacy with Krishna, and it comes through carrying out the order of the spiritual master. And not that I'm anyone special, or that I have even that special connection really. But I know that when I do try and carry out his instructions, then good things happen. So obviously distributing books is one way you could get involved. Little free libraries are a big one. You could just throw a book in a little free library. They're all over the place. A lot of times people sponsor books for distribution, or even just being an advocate for book distribution makes a big difference. And Harinams are really nice. A lot of times they're hard to find nowadays, but they're out there. Definitely not hard to find in New York because Ram Roy Prabhu does it every day, different places. And if you want to get involved with that, then you could drop your number in the chat, and I'll send it to the Harinam guys, and they'll add you to the group chat where they tell you where the location is. So we have a lot of comments here. So let me see if we can get through them.
These are the notes, Prabhu, from your class.
Oh, the notes. Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Jiva, just want
to write little notes to ourselves and to everybody else about things that really impact us from the talk.
Oh, cool. That's a nice service. Thank you. Is that Ananga Manjari?
It's Ananda Manjari. Yes.
Ananda Manjari. Congratulations. Nice to association.
I want to come back to the 2 points that you made, and I will start with the last one because it's fresher from the lecture. And I just I love the story that you shared about forgetting the book, and also I'm just so inspired to hear that even in a situation of like getting the spanking from Krishna, it's like he still helps us out. Like even in that situation, it's like, you know, out of nowhere the solution comes. Like, can you please write me a list of books that you would recommend? And I just so love that because it shows like even if we are deep in a hole, it's like he will still help us even if we are to learn from it.
Yeah.
So that's my first point. And secondly, I just wanted to reiterate about bowing down. I recently actually heard a lecture by Swayam Bhagavam Keshava Maharaj, and I think it's called Bow Down Anyway. And he was speaking, the whole lecture was about like humility that comes from obeisances and from the sense of grounding that comes from bowing. And then he actually spoke about Srila Prabhupada being also asked the question about bowing down, and somebody coming to him and saying, I'm not going to bow down to you. There was a specific instance when there was a person whose father told them that you should never bow to anybody and like you should believe that God doesn't exist. And then he came before Prabhupada and he told that to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada told him that you either bow down now to the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or you're going to have to bow down essentially because the life is going to break you. Like your body is going to break apart. You're going to get sick. You're going to bow down to disease, to birth, to death, to anything that comes. And so we have a choice, and it's like we are either going to be made to bow down or we're going to choose to bow down and actually advance spiritually. So that's a little I wanted to share. Thank you for your wonderful class.
Thank you for your nice points. Yeah, it's so powerful, the idea of obeisances and mastering the basics. One time I was in a call with my spiritual master or something, and they had an icebreaker, and the question was, if you had to name if you had an autobiography or a biography about you, what would you name it? And everybody had these, different kind of intense names. Like I think mine was like the mercy case or something. We're all just being like very humble and like, oh, just the mercy and this and that. And then he came to him, the last one, and he said, rice, dal, and chapatis, mastering the basics. And I was like, wow, we all like started dying laughing. But, thinking about it, it was like really good. Like, yeah, just like really honing in on our 16 rounds and like really honing in on our reading properly, really honing in on our obeisances, like making sure we're in the right mood and attitude. Those things really add up and make a big difference. I'm reading this book now called Atomic Habits, where it talks about how just by little changes in our everyday activities, then they add up to huge results in the end. And so like if we just make small adjustments to our basic sadhana, then it makes a big difference. Okay, Jamunajai is first.
Hare Krishna, Anupam. So great to see. I was thinking the other day when I saw you, it's been a long time since you've given class, and I know it was always your habit, no matter what you're speaking of, to tell some Prabhupada Leela, which I always appreciate every class. But I was just really appreciating that what you said about that the spiritual master's instructions were Ladini Shakti. That just struck me like a thunderbolt. How wonderful, how profound. And I really see, in you take your instruction of your spiritual master so very seriously. And it's just wonderful to see. And you get the nectar, and I also love like what could have been a spanking, let me say by Krishna, it's actually such a great gift. So thank you for that point. That was just really, we know that the instruction of spiritual master is no small thing. And we see by Srila Prabhupada, but just you pointing it out to us that it's Ladini Shakti was just really wonderful. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jamunajai. It's nice to see you, be serving with you again after some time. And and then conversely also, not carrying out the order of the spiritual master is a huge offense. And so it's like such a huge focal point to our Krishna consciousness. By doing it, we connect with Ladini Shakti. And by not doing it, we commit an offense that could really hurt us spiritually. So, yeah, it's a big thing.
Jamunajai, what would be your autobiography named? What would be the name for it?
I was thinking about that when he said that. I was literally, before I knew any prayers, and I would get to some place, I would always just fall on my knees and say, "Oh God, please don't let me be a jerk." So, just on the fly, I think that would be my name. Oh Krishna, please don't let me be a jerk.
Nice, Jamunajai. Beautiful.
Dr. William Prabhu, nice to see you.
Hare Krishna.
I think there's
Yeah, I want to thank you for the class that you did today. It was wonderful and full of things to learn, right? And I did appreciate also when you said that sometimes it happens to us that we find people that we maybe feel not connected with, or finding some aspects that we are not understanding from them, right? And sometimes that kind of situations can be a challenge, exactly as you said, from Krishna. And we really can believe that when we continue loving, continue believing, and continue on purpose, we realize that even if we like or not that much that situation, right, we can always learn from it. We maybe are missing something where we can grow, and that is something that also we can share after going through it, right? So never stop doing it. Continue loving, continue believing, because also that is a part of our faith, right? When we are faithful, when we believe, when we trust, right? We really can understand that can be a challenge, but it doesn't matter. Keep going, keep loving, and believe that God and Krishna will give you all the best, and you can always, as you said, thanks, say thank you for everything that happened, and thank you for everything that is going to happen. Because it is gonna be good, right?
Yeah, that's a really nice point. What was your name, Prabhu? I'm sorry, I don't.
Justi.
Thank you very much. Yeah, in the purport to that verse, Prabhupada, or No, it's Hyudananda Maharaj, the disciples of Prabhupada, says that once you become a devotee, the apparently so-called bad things that happen to you, they're not actually karmic reactions, but they're situations that are tailored for you by Krishna to curtail the mentality that produced the reaction, you could say, or whatever. It says we still, until we're fully perfect, we may have some last vestiges of the enjoying spirit within us. And so in order to get rid of the last vestiges, then Krishna puts us in situations to ultimately eradicate those tendencies. And so it's actually a very personal, intimate thing. Look at the Pandavas, and the whole Bhagavatam is basically devotees, like really advanced devotees, going through really difficult times. And so actually, if we're experiencing some difficulties, we should see that Krishna is taking us into his personal circle and looking out for us. Dr. William Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, so nice to see you, Prabhu.
You as well.
Thank you for this wonderful class. Wow, it's been years. I'm going to try to, when you were talking about your experience taking the airplane to Texas with your wife, I thought about an experience not as cool as yours, getting a spiritual spanking from Krishna, but I was actually talking to Krishna, saying, you know what, Krishna, I'm going to take a trip to Trader Joe's. I promise I'm going to finish my rounds tonight. Just as soon as I come back from Trader Joe's, I'm going to, get to it. But you know what? I think I'm going to take the beads with me, the bean bag, and I'm going to chant on the way to Trader Joe's, because it's a little bit of a walk. So I forgot my bag. I forgot my japa bag.
Mm-hmm.
And on my way to Trader Joe's, I was saying, "Oh, Krishna, I'm so sorry, but Father, if there's any way," I call him Father, because like born, raised Catholic, so I'm always Krishna Father. It's so hard for me to see him as a child, but so I say, Father, I'm so sorry, I forgot my japa bag, but I promise that when I get back home, I'm gonna do my chants. I can finish my 16 rounds today. So he put me in a situation with a cashier. We're having a conversation, and I mentioned
it's 8 hours.
Oh, Siri said it's 8 hours. So
Cashier.
do you want me to finish?
Yes, cashier.
So the cashier goes, wow. She says, what you said really, really, and she started crying. So I mentioned to her that I thank God every day that I wake up, every day. I didn't say Krishna, but I was thinking next time I saw her, I go to her, I'm going to have my japa bag, so then maybe she'll ask a question and I'll be able to. So she was crying, and I said, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to make you. No. She said, I needed to hear this today. I was praying all day, and you said those words, and I know that this was meant to happen. And I had goosebumps, and I was like, thank you, Krishna. My mind, I was like, thank you, Krishna. You made this happen. So I just want to thank you for sharing that. That was a revelation. Just an experience that I wanted to share here with you in the classes.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, this is where the magic happens, when we get out there and we make ourselves available, as Adipurush Prabhu says, Lord, I'm available to you. If we just get out there and make ourselves available as conduits of Lord Chaitanya's mercy, then so many experiences like this happen. We get so much faith, so much fortification. And yes, I won't take any more time, but thank you, everybody, for the opportunity. And all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Anupama Prabhu. So it's darshan time. As I see, Adipusha Prabhu is moving us closer to the Lord. So I have an idea. How about we'll all stick around for the afterglow, after darshan, and then we will say our autobiography names. I have mine ready, so think of yours, and we'll do it during the afterglow. Adi's would be, I'm available to you. So that's decided. We know Jamuna Jayas. So let's see. William Krishna's son, please think of a good name for your autobiography. Thank you, Lord, maybe. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, Darshan, camera's on. Okay. All right. Autobiography titles time. I heard years ago one mantra that really stuck with me. The mantra goes, "Thank you, Krishna, for now as it is, and let me engage it in your service." And then over the years, I kind of shortened it to "Thank you, Krishna." And that's how I pray every day. When I go to bed, when I turn off the light on the altar, I go, "Thank you, Krishna. Thank you, thank you." So that will be my name, my title. "Thank you, Krishna." Just 3 words. Andrea, what will be your title?
So I got a submission from Paul, my husband Paul. He said that his autobiography would be you're proposing it for me? Oh, okay. Sorry.
You asked me what yours should be.
So he said that my autobiography should be how I learned to stop listening to my inner critic and just love Krishna.
Nice.
And I was thinking that mine should actually be Ave Maria, Hare Krishna, finding God through hardship. So that's because it's something like I made me think because of what William was saying, how he grew up Catholic, so he says Father Krishna, and I grew up Catholic, so I try, when I grew up, that when you sneezed or when like you got hurt or something happened, you would say Ave Maria, which means Holy Mary. You're calling on Mary to like help you. And since I've been in Krishna consciousness or trying to be a Krishna devotee, I've been trying to say Hare Krishna instead, but it's so much of a habit to say Ave Maria that I've actually started combining them. So I'll say, so I'll find myself saying Ave Maria, Hare Krishna. So that's why I thought that should be my title. But my husband's title for me is good too, because I do, and trying to not listen to my inner critic. So I'm looking forward to other people's titles.
Thank you, Andrea. Beautiful. Who'd like to go next? Anupam Prabhu, what was yours? Mercy?
The Mercy Case.
The Mercy Case. Nice. Okay, Justy, what's yours? What's your autobiography title?
My biography title?
Yeah. You can take your time. We're gonna go to the next person, think of an autobiography title for your life, just.
Okay. I will think about it. Give me that sense. It's good.
Okay, Bhima.
Well, to be honest, I think it would be no matter what you do to me, Krishna, I'm still not going to surrender. I think that would be mine. So,
Nice.
and then in parentheses underneath the main title, so please stick around.
Nice. Please stick around. Yes, I like it. Great.
Yeah, I got mine already.
Okay, Justine, what is it?
Wherever you go, whenever it is, and whoever you are with, love, love, and love.
Nice. Wherever you go, love, love, love. Nice. Great. Okay. Adi, Purusha Prabhu, I'm available. Lord, I'm available to you. Is that the title? Hold on. Or maybe all glories to Prabhupada. You have to unmute yourself, Adi. Unmute.
I thought how wonderful is Krishna, isn't that what someone
How
wrote?
wonderful is Krishna? There you go. Yes, exactly. Adi Purusha Prabhu, you have to unmute yourself. I insist that you unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So what would be the title of your autobiography?
I'm your servant.
Nice. I'm your
You know,
servant.
in the story today, the gopis, they wanted to have Krishna. Oh, can you hear me? Can you hear
Yes.
me?
Yes.
Yeah. They wanted to have Krishna as their husband. In other words, they wanted to be the wife of Krishna. They wanted to give themselves completely to pleasing Krishna. And in Anupam's story, he didn't have a book, but he had the desire to please his spiritual master, right? And on William's story also, he didn't have his beads bag, but he had the desire to please Krishna. So Krishna is so wonderful that he grants that, give themselves completely to Krishna. And he granted Anupam the desire to please the spiritual master by sharing Krishna consciousness, and he granted William an opportunity like that. So Krishna, we have that desire with whatever facility we might seem to feel like we have. Okay.
Thank you, Adi Purusha Prabhu. Great.
Of course, but
Great title. I'm your servant. Thank you. Okay, William Krishna's son. What's your title?
Listening to everyone, I'm still thinking. So
Okay. All right, no problem. Venetia.
yeah, but yeah, I'm still
you
thinking.
see, if we go outside, we won't be able to hear very well.
Can you hear
Just
me?
trying to finish it.
Can you hear me? Or I gotta take my headphones.
Do you hear me okay?
Venetia. Yeah, we can hear you, Venetia.
I would say Miracle on First Avenue.
Nice. You live on First Avenue,
Yeah.
right? Where the temple is, that's where your little garden is.
Yeah.
It's nice, Venetia. Thank you. Miracle on First Avenue. Bruce Prabhu. Miracle in the car.
Trusting, believing I am worth it.
Trusting, believing I'm worth it.
Trusting and believing I am worth it. Yes.
Trusting and believing I'm worth it. Yes, Bruce Prabhu. Nice affirmation. Nice title. Sundar Anandaji, what would be the title of your autobiography?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I was thinking maybe level-headed faith. So have faith in the process. I'm working on it. It's a lifelong process. At the same time, don't go overboard. Don't be a fanatic. Try to do it slow and steady. So yes, level-headed faith.
Level-headed faith. Beautiful. Wonderful. Amrita Kishori Didi.
So I actually found out.
William.
I think I got mine. Learning how to control my anger.
Nice. What's the subtitle? Punching bag, or how do you
Sorry?
how do you control your anger?
By chanting,
By chanting. Nice.
by attending the Srimad Bhagavatam class, by association with devotees like this, constantly having Krishna in my mind. What would Krishna do in this situation, you know?
Yes.
What would the devotees do in this situation? Yeah. So yeah, because I mean, being raised with Italians wasn't easy. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're doing great, William. Thank you. Okay, Amrita Kishore Didi, what would be the title of your autobiography?
I've been thinking.
You're still thinking?
I think it'll be something like "What took you so long?" or "Oh, finally," or something like that.
Nice. What took you so long? Nice, Amrita Kishore. Great. Hemangi. Finally, we'll get this introverted people to turn on the cameras and say something.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hemangi.
So I could think of maybe unlimited mercy of Krishna and Vaishnavas on the fallen soul like me.
Nice. Unlimited mercy of the Vaishnavas and Krishna on Hemangi. Nice. Thank you. Okay, Yogeshwari. Yogeshwari, Hare Krishna. Okay, I'm not getting any response from Yogeshwari, no problem. So Suzanne, what would be the title of your autobiography? Okay, we're moving on to Pink Yogi of Harlem. Pink Yogi of Harlem. Your name is a good title. Your name itself is a good title for an autobiography. Right, Pink Yogi? Okay. Okay, Sharmila.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. My title will be Ananya Shinten Tomam. You promised and I'm holding you to it. You promised to help me and I'm holding you to it.
You promised and I'm holding you to it. Thank you, Sharmila. Beautiful.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. And Pink Yogi says that hers would be change your prescription. Change your prescription is mine. Your prescription is mine. Okay, nice. Yeah, we're here to surrender. That's the main theme of everyone's title. Lord, I'm here to surrender. I'm gratefully surrendering. Okay, thank you very much. It was a beautiful exercise. Thank you very much for being so personal, so vulnerable, so inspiring. Bhima Prabhu is chasing horses, probably trying to give them prasadam. Wow, look at that.
We won't surrender. See, this is
Surrender.
me. This is me.
Yeah.
I'm as stubborn. I'm just as stubborn.
Yeah.
And then he goes and hides with the big horses. Come on, I got you. I throw a rope around your neck.
Does he think you're trying to hurt him?
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Yes, he doesn't think I'm trying to hurt him, but his natural instinct is to run away from a guy with a beard. The guy who last neglected him had a beard. Come here. It's all right. Stay. It's all right. Eventually he'll come around. With horses, it takes a long time, but not as long as me. Not as long as me. He'll eventually come around to be affectionate within a year, whereas it'll probably be a couple of lifetimes for me at least. Nice. Before I come around. Yeah, Hare Krishna.
A couple of lifetimes. Nice. Okay, Yogeshwari says hers will be I'm available, Lord. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, dear devotees. Okay, we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you very much. We love you dearly. Thank you for being part of this community so steadily, and come back tomorrow. We're not going anywhere. Srimad Bhagavatam is every day. Devotional service is every day. So thank you very much for being here every day. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.